Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first episode of the new podcast series by Crypted UK. And first of all, I want to start off by telling you exactly how these podcasts are going to work and how they're going to be structured. So basically, every week there will be at least one podcast for you to listen to, along with the video series, the video lessons that I've been releasing daily since I believe it was Friday. So there's there's a fair amount of content for you to go over, and there will be enough so that you don't run out of content to watch, because that is my overall aim, to provide value to my members and loyal subscribers, which is the main frame for us going forward. So, to start with, these podcasts will be structured as follows. So, to start with, we'll talk about news events that are happening right now, have happened over the past few days, that I just think are very important to discuss. Then we'll get onto our topic of discussion, which will be something that I've come up with that I feel like needs to be discussed with you guys. So, and also, if anybody has anything that they would like me to discuss, then that will be in the topic of discussion section 2. So there's lots of things to talk about, obviously, in this space, and a lot of things when I'm going through this that people won't necessarily understand straight away. So that's your chance to fully just get straight at me and just be like, what is that? I don't understand that. Can we go through that? Yes, there will be a full podcast and a section all about that ready for you to view at your own leisure. Now, this podcast was supposed to be a live podcast, and it will be from now on, but because the Crypted YouTube channel is a new channel, I've got to allow 24 hours for a request to start streaming on YouTube. I've never heard of that before, but apparently that's one of the issues we encountered today. I've also I also want to cover some chart work towards the end of this podcast, so I will be able to give my perspective on where I think the market is going within the next couple of days, week or so. In general, that it will be around half an hour to an hour long, sometimes shorter, sometimes longer, depending on what there is to discuss. So if there's not much happening in the markets, then there's overall not a lot to discuss. But if someone comes at me and has a whole list of things they want to ask me about, then it's going to be a longer one. So it just depends really on what we have actually to discuss in that period of time. And the last section of these podcasts will just be the outro, where I will answer questions and go over what we've been through already, just to summarize everything that's happened and just to overall clarify what's been happening. So let's get into some news events to start with. As we can see on CCN here, we've got a couple of news articles to discuss. So it starts with saying, amazing, Nasdaq to add XRP liquid index, crypto bulls rush in. So as we saw today on XRP, we moved up about 5% around that region, 4.43 to the moment, but I think it was around 5.5 at its peak. So we can see that the Nasdaq news today drove the price further, but I wouldn't go rushing in to buy on XRP, because usually the case with news events, it goes like this: buy the rumor, sell the news. So it would be a case of hearing about a Nasdaq rumor months ago and then selling today, selling a little proportion of your holdings. So so that's kind of how you would play that. So I wouldn't go rushing to buy it. It's just a news article that the big whale investors would be actually selling them. So the announcement comes within months of Nasdaq adding Brave's new coin, BNC's Bitcoin and Ethereum liquidity indexes, BLX and ELX. They are all part of the Nasdaq Global Index Data Service. The launch of crypto indices is clearly significant because it plays right into the mass adoption of cryptocurrencies. Institutional traders who may have been on the sidelines are being drawn into the space with the launch of each index. Also, the launch of the indices could lead to regulatory approval for crypto-based derivatives in the market, as CCN previously reported. The BNC XRP Index Edition will allow users to track the price of XRP with far greater transparency than before, Nasdaq boasts. See, Nasdaq were the ones talking trash about cryptocurrencies not so long ago. It was not so long ago that Nasdaq were the ones calling it a scam, and now all of a sudden they seem to be the ones that want to get involved. But they have been involved all along, don't get it wrong. It's just that they haven't been publicly involved for that long. It's just a front, really, if I'm honest with you, because these guys know the power of the cryptocurrency space. They know where it's going. So they're the ones that are going to be at the forefront of gaining regulatory clarity when it comes to the FCA. They're going to be the ones that look at Nasdaq adopting it, and look at all these big exchanges and big financial institutes adopting crypto, and they're going to be like, oh, okay, so it's okay now, after 2 or 3 years of absolute not knowing where anybody stands with this stuff. So with a market cap of roughly 12 billion, XRP is currently the third largest crypto asset behind Bitcoin and Ethereum, which is actually wrong. And I'll tell you why that's wrong. It's because XRP has got a bigger market cap than Ethereum and has done for months. So CCN, I would watch their articles, because even though they're great for some news, you've always got to take it with a pinch of salt, because things like this jump out at my eyes and make me want to scream at the screen, because XRP has been in front of Ethereum for a while now, and it's websites like ccn.com and CoinMarketCap as well that are the ones suppressing XRP by hiding volumes and stuff like that, because they want to push the adoption of Bitcoin further rather than other digital assets, which is completely wrong. And because transparency is one of the key things that is going to drive this industry into the public eye and into the future. So why can't companies be a lot more transparent and accepting of reality, rather than making up a fictional reality to give to the people? I don't like that. So anyway, the XRP Liquid Index, XRP-LX, to meet the marketplace requirements for a single reliable and fair USD price for XRP based on live real-world trading activity. The index is designed to report market price at which liquidity could enter or exit an XRP position. The XRP Liquid Index has several features that make it ideal for settlements and accurate spot pricing. This includes 30-second intraday pricing, end-of-day OHLCV, and time and volume weighted averages according to Nasdaq. Like its Bitcoin and Ethereum indexes, the XRP index will provide a real-time spot or reference rate for the price derived from most liquid parts of the global market. XRP-LX could serve as the base price of XRP for regulated investment vehicles in the long term. The same holds true for BLX and ELX. Nasdaq indices are not concentrated in a small group of exchanges or over-the-counter OTC exchanges. Rather, the indices take into consideration all platforms processing cryptocurrency trades and find a reliable spot price. Right now, the exchanges for the XRPLX include Bitfinex, Bitstamp, Poloniex, and Kraken. Nasdaq says it plans to add Coinbase in the future. Traditionally, trading players like Nasdaq have long been considered key to the mass adoption of crypto. The exchange doesn't want to get left behind in the space that is growing despite challenges. Like I said earlier, let me just have a sip of coffee for this one. Like I said earlier, these were the same guys that were talking trash. They were talking trash about 6 months ago, saying how they would never be a thing and all this. Now all of a sudden, look who joins the party. It's just comical, really. But I've always known that these guys were being on it, and the major financial institutes have always had a hand in it. But they just love to spread rubbish to keep the people guessing, really. That's my opinion anyway. That's I'm not telling you that's facts. That's just my opinion after studying this for a long while. So the Nasdaq news comes on the heels of Ripple revealing a 54% sales spike with institutes buying XRP, which is another article that I will get into, which we can get into next because it will tie in perfectly. It released its Q1 2019 XRP market report last week, showing it sold 169.42 million in XRP from January to March. Institutional sales are accounted for 61.93 million, more than 1/3 of all of its sales, which is a huge amount. That's a huge amount of institutional backing. But as the year goes on, we can only expect to see more adoption and more growth. So that was our first article. Just wanted to bring you to the attention of Nasdaq jumping into the Ripple index, which is really good because of the adoption factor. It's going to allow for like the older generation of traders to feel more secure when jumping in, because not everybody wants to join Binance, Coinbase, and anyone like that. People would rather go to somewhere that they've gone to all their lives, like Nasdaq, or someone they can trust in the public eye, that they think they can trust in the public eye, like Nasdaq. So let's get into our next article. So Ripple reveals crucial 54% sales spike with institutions buying XRP, which is amazing news. I love to hear this sort of stuff because big sales spikes like this, main price drivers. I love to see this stuff. So let's read through. Ripple, the company behind the development of XRP, the third most. See again, as I say, it's not the third. So let me correct CCN for them on behalf of them. Ripple, the company behind the development of XRP, the second most valuable crypto asset in the global market, officially released its Q1 2019 XRP markets report. The document indicated Ripple sold 169.42 million from January to March, and institutional sales accounted for 61.93 million, more than 36% of all its sales, which is absolutely crazy. Crazy figures. I like to see that. But it could always be more. We want to see it in the billions by the end of the year. That's the overall goal, I would say. More bank adoption, more institutional adoption, and over the billion sales. So quarter over quarter, Ripple saw a 54% surge in institutional investment, indicating an overall rise in demand for crypto from institutional investors. And then they go on to say, a bad year so far for Ripple and XRP. XRP saw a threefold gain at the start of the fourth quarter in 2018, but as the market began to stagnate in December, the price of XRP performed poorly against the US dollar. Year to date, XRP is down 13.67% based on the market data from on-chain FX in comparison to Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Bitcoin Cash, which recorded 48%, 23%, and 78% gains respectively. XRP has had a poor start in 2019, which is true. It has had a poor start in 2019, but it seems to forget about the 1 billion that's released from escrow every month and sold to institutional investors and over-the-counter trading, which is to stop the inflation of the price of XRP. So they're saying all this bad stuff, giving it bad press, even though it's a positive article. They still have to put this bad spin on it, and that's why we'll always tell you about CCN and other similar news outlets. They will tend to jump on this negative wave at some coins for no particular reason. They will just attack any sort of coin they feel, and they tend to always praise Bitcoin, even though it's one of the slowest, and or is the slowest, and proof of work is been proven not to work. So where do we get up to? Okay, but according to the report, the average daily XRP daily volume has increased to 595 million, up from 2018. While the price of XRP decreased, the average XRP daily volume was 595.28 million, which is on par with XRP daily volume from Q4 2018. In addition, XRP's correlation with other top digital assets remained consistently high throughout the quarter, the report read. It is unclear whether the daily volume of XRP calculated by Ripple accurately portrays the crypto exchange market landscape and particularity and presence of large fake orders and inflated volumes in the market. In March, Bitwise Asset Management estimated that 95% of volume in the crypto market is likely to be faked or inflated. So, for Ripple, institutional interest and demand could be as important as retail interest, because the value of the Ripple blockchain network and solutions on top of it, mainly as liquidity solutions, come from the banks and financial institutions committed to the Ripple blockchain. The noticeable increase in the investment into Ripple by institutions in the first quarter of 2019 suggests that institutions have become more comfortable regarding two main aspects of XRP: the regularity nature of XRP and the pending court case that would clarify whether XRP is considered a security or not under the US regulations, and the long-term roadmap of the Ripple blockchain and XRP as liquidity solutions for banks. The addition of 13 financial institutions by Ripple on RippleNet at the beginning of the first quarter of 2019 likely played a role in fueling the interest of institutions, especially in the Japanese market. The Ripple team said, at the start of the quarter, Ripple announced RippleNet surpassed more than 200 customers worldwide, with the addition of 13 new financial institutions that signed up for the company's payment network. These companies include EuroExim Bank, SendFriend, JNFX, FTCS, Ali Bank of Kuwait, TransPayGo, BFC Bahrain, ConnectPay, GMT, WorldCom Finance, Olympia Trust Company, Pontual Usend, and Rendmento. Okay, I've never heard of Rendimento before, but I will be sure to do some research into that after this podcast. So for the long-term sustainability of Ripple and XRP, it is of the utmost importance for investors that Ripple continues to secure high-profile partnerships with banks and find convincing ways to prove that XRP is not a security in the US. The Ripple team has said while smaller companies and projects without clear use cases have suffered during the 16-month-long bear market, it believes the bear market will ultimately benefit the market in many ways. It will, because it will give institutions a better price to buy in at. Because if you think about it, if XRP went to over 100 per coin, which I believe is clearly possible, before Christmas, then what institutions would be wanting to buy XRP at $100 a coin when it could crash all the way back down to $1 and they lose over nearly all of their money that they invested in it? Why would they do that? They'd rather buy at 0.3 and then watch it go up to 100 and have that percentage gain. So that is what I potentially think why the price has been suppressed down and held down for so long. And it's proven with the with this sort of news, because the sales percentages are up, and what is holding it back? So that's exactly what I see when I look at these sort of stuff. Now, that's it for the XRP articles. It's good to read about some XRP, but now let's get into some Bitcoin, or just general crypto news. So you can now spend Bitcoin on Amazon, which is pretty cool. I didn't know this was happening, but they kept it quiet. Nice to hear. Thanks to Moon and the Lightning Network. So if you don't know what the Lightning Network is, it's Litecoin. You can do your own research about that, and I will teach you how to do research on a coin in the next section after I cover this article, which will tie in nicely too. So basically, you can now spend your Bitcoin on giant Amazon, thanks to an ingenious Lightning Network solution called Moon. Moon is a crypto payment processing startup that works by allowing Lightning Network enabled wallets to be used through Moon's browser extension. The extension allows shoppers to connect their cryptocurrency wallet to it. For example, a Coinbase wallet, and use it at a checkout to pay for goods with Bitcoin, which is pretty cool, I've got to say. Or one of 3 other currencies, Litecoin, Ethereum, or Bitcoin Cash. Let's be clear, it's not a native Amazon payment option. Yet. It says yet in after a couple of dots, which is pretty cool. So simply, after installing the Moon browser extension, you shop on Amazon.com as you normally would. At checkout, Moon gives you the option to pay with your crypto. When you submit payment, your purchase is completed instantly and seamlessly on Amazon. Will be expanded to other wallet integrations and currencies. The transactions are handled by exchanges and financial institutions who convert the Bitcoin into fiat and then pay Amazon sellers in traditional fiat currencies. The transactions don't cost the buyers anything, which is pretty cool. So they don't charge you extra for it, which is cool, but they take your cryptocurrency. Moon is integrating with Visa and MasterCard and makes its money by getting a small cut of the interchange fees every time sellers receive a credit card transaction. Asked how he felt about working with the very companies crypto is trying to displace, Kruger said, "In order to facilitate transactions and eventually adoption, we need to integrate with merchants. These merchants are currently on these payment networks. In the future, we hope merchants are familiar enough with crypto as a payment method that they'll integrate directly. But this is the first step towards adoption. It's clear that they see the value of cryptocurrency and how it can disrupt the traditional payment space. Moon has already been tested by a small group of beta users who used it to spend Bitcoin on Amazon.com and other e-commerce sites. And the browser extension is available on the Chrome store right now, making it available to 60% of internet users globally. It is also available on Brave and Opera browsers. So far, the extension supports shopping on Amazon.com only with United States dollars, but the team is looking to expand wider. So while Amazon gives Moon, the Lightning Network, and crypto exposure to a massive user base, there's already steps in place to take Moon even further with eBay, Etsy, Target, Domino's, and All Express in the company's sites. Which is pretty big, but in all honesty, I do not see this company lasting too long when big e-commerce outlets start using cryptocurrency directly. So when they directly go to Ripple or they directly go to another payment source, they will be getting over-the-counter prices, and they will be wanting to use that rather than being charged to use someone's payment system, which is just my personal view. So that's pretty much it for the news section of this podcast anyway. It's my coffee section of the podcast. So now, you'll always probably see me with a coffee in these podcasts. I'm not gonna lie. Coffee is my podcast fuel and allows me to talk for extended periods of time, because usually I do not have much to say unless it's about cryptocurrency. So crypto coffee right there. It's very helpful. So basically now the news section is over and done with, and now it's time to get into the topic of discussion section of the podcast, which is very exciting because it's a topic that I've chosen, and it's basically about researching cryptocurrencies for yourself. So you will be able to go away, hopefully after this podcast and after watching my educational videos. Don't just think, oh, I can watch a few videos and I'll be ready. No, you have to sit through a lot of content and study a lot of content before you are actually able to buy into this stuff. So if we start talking about how to actually research these coins yourself, you will be able to go away and validate your own findings by literally just diving deeper into these companies, because anyone can see an advert for a cryptocurrency on Twitter, YouTube, and think, oh yeah, that's a great cryptocurrency, I'm gonna buy into that straight away, without actually doing any thorough research behind the company or what they're about. Which is where a lot of people can fall into the trap of buying into a coin that's actually worthless, and or getting into a pyramid scheme that's actually worthless and backed by nothing. I cannot remember for the life of me the name of it, but there was a pyramid scheme getting shared around not so long ago, where if you sent your email address, signed up, referred 5 friends or 10 friends to I can't remember what the website was called. If anyone can think of this pyramid scheme, please comment below. Or if I think of it, I'll comment below. But there was basically a pyramid scheme where they wanted people to refer their friends, and they were saying, oh, we'll give you this much, 10,000 of our made up coins for free, which are not actually backed by anything. the whole point of a currency is that it's actually backed by something, which is how currency started in the first place, with like the gold standard and stuff like that, which is a topic for a completely whole different video if you don't know what the gold standard is. If you want to know what that is, comment below and I will cover that as well. So there was this pyramid scheme that I was seeing, and it was getting shared all around Facebook, and I must have got told about it by about 3 or 4 different people, and they were saying, "Oh, this is great! You get these free crypto coins, you know, the stuff that you're interested in." And I was like, okay, hang on a minute, let me just do some research. Surely enough, 5-10 minutes after digging, I found out who this guy was behind it. I think he was about 24, with no company, no proper experience, and he was literally just collecting email addresses to sell to cryptocurrency exchanges. I mean, just take that in for a second. You've been promised these 10,000 coins that you think, oh, they could potentially be worth loads in the future. It's the next Bitcoin, blah 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 blah, and then only to have your data sold to exchanges. So just you entering your email address has cost you your data protection, which is sad. It's sad that people fall for this trap, but that is exactly why you need to do your research on every single crypto. Even if I mentioned to you about a cryptocurrency, even if I mentioned to you about Ripple or Bitcoin or anything like that, you've got to make sure that you do your own due diligence to research these things yourself, so that you don't get caught in any sort of trap. So you don't, well, you just wouldn't buy anything without actually researching it yourself. In my opinion, it's suicide if you're going to do that. If you're not going to know what you're investing in or why you're investing in it, then why are you investing in it? What is actually your motive behind your investment? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't have any backbone. So I will get into right now how I would go about researching a cryptocurrency. So this is only an example. I've done extensive research into this one, but I am going to show you exactly how I'd get into it. So, for example, say you heard someone talking about XRP, i.e. me. If I was talking about XRP and you wanted to, you were thinking about investing in it. Oh, it sounds great. It's fast. It's cheap. It's this. Great. Okay. So who's actually behind it? All right. So what you'd first of all do is go to the website. See if they've got a website. In this case, it's ripple.com. Cool. Yeah. Nice website. Today's payment rails don't cut it. In a world where 3 billion people are connected online, cars drive themselves and appliances can communicate, global payments are still stuck in the disco era. Why? The payment infrastructure was built before the internet with few updates. So it hasn't been updated for so long. So Ripple's main outline for why payments systems are so outdated right now, because it's slow, it takes 3 to 5 days to settle, it's unreliable, high failure rates, expensive, 1.6 trillion in annual costs, 1.6 trillion a year we could save with XRP, unacceptable, people demand a seamless and elegant experience. Meet RippleNet. Ripple connects banks and payment providers via RippleNet to provide one frictionless experience for sending and receiving money globally. RippleNet runs on the most advanced blockchain technology. It's scalable, secure, and interoperates with different networks. So when looking at a company, when looking at investing in a cryptocurrency, you'll want to see who they're partnered with and who is on board with them. So as we can see here, Santander, so a huge bank. Santander, a huge bank. Standard Chartered, a huge bank. TransferGo, they're a big cross-border remittance company. CIMB Bank, I've never heard of them. American Express, huge, absolutely massive giant in the banking industry. MoneyGram, again, a massive payments company, but still using the old payment system. So they're going to be looking at using the Ripple technology, and I know I can guarantee that. I can guarantee MoneyGram are going to be using it. And SBI Remittance. SBI, if you don't know, SBI Holdings, State Bank of India. Do your research on them as well. State Bank of India. Their CEO, Yoshitaka Katal, has literally just been appointed as a director on the Ripple board, which is astronomical news for Ripple. And this guy is one of the biggest holders of XRP in the world, which is crazy, absolutely crazy. So, as you can see from the website, you can see that they're partnered with some pretty decent people. You can have a look and see what other customers they actually got on board. So it said they've got 200 plus. So these are a list of these companies, or a list of more companies. So you could actually take it one step further and do your research into each and individual one of these companies to see if they're partnering with Ripple. See if they have Ripple's name listed on their website as well, which is another way you can cross-reference, which I would recommend as well. So when you're doing your research on a cryptocurrency, always cross-reference. Always get more than one point of reference. So don't just take all your information from the cryptocurrencies website as gospel. Go and do your research on what they're saying, and cross-reference it with 10 different outlets or whatever, just to make sure that what they're saying is backed up by facts, because that's what we're looking for at the end of the day: facts, transparency. These are the main things that makes me more inclined to put my money into these things. Now, if you don't know what Ripple does and you want more information, then you can go into and see what the use cases are. You can have a look at like the market performance of XRP and all that sort of stuff. So just go through their website and make sure it is legit. And I'll show you exactly how I would go about seeing if the team behind the coin is legit as well. So usually these cryptocurrencies will have a list of who they have on board, so who they have in their team. So in this case, it's in the About section, our company. So Ripple provides one frictionless experience to send money globally using the power of blockchain. By joining Ripple's growing global network, RippleNet, financial institutions can process their customers' payments anywhere in the world instantly, reliably, and cost-effectively. Banks and payment providers can use the digital asset XRP to further reduce their costs and access new markets. With offices in San Francisco, New York, London, Mumbai, Singapore, and Sydney, Ripple has more than 200 customers around the world, which is a pretty impressive figure, and I doubt that any other cryptocurrency has got that many customers on board. Now let's have a look at the team. So far I'm pretty convinced that Ripple are legit, but then you want to look at the people behind the actual currency. So this man here, Brad Garlinghouse, looks like a chill dude. Okay, So what you do, open up your new tab, Brad. Oh, and by the way, this browser, this what you see right here is the Brave browser, which is, I don't know how many times, 3 times, 5 times quicker than Google Chrome, and I'll make a whole new video on this anyway. But let's just get back into it. So Brad Garlinghouse. So let's have a look at his Wikipedia. So Brad Garlinghouse, born February 6, 1971, in Topeka, Kansas, CEO of financial technology company Ripple. He was formerly CEO, chairman of Hightail, formerly YouSendIt, the file sharing site, prior to Hightail. He was president of consumer applications at AOL for 2 years, after his role as senior vice president at Yahoo, running its communications business, which included the homepage Flickr, Yahoo Mail, Yahoo Messenger. While at Yahoo, he penned the famous Peanut Butter Manifesto, calling for a shake-up at the then fledgling internet company. So, after reading this, you can pretty much see that this guy is a genuine business guy who has been involved with the likes of AOL and Yahoo. So they are pretty big companies in themselves. So when you're thinking about putting your money into a digital asset, you want to look at the people behind the company and see if these guys are actually legit. Because you could just be giving your money to any 21-year-old sitting behind a computer, which, if this 21-year-old sitting behind a computer is legit, and he's got a good business background or like a good development background, then fine. But if this guy worked at Starbucks for 4 years and has no development experience whatsoever or financial institution experience, then what is he doing messing with cryptocurrency? So you've just got to check up on these things to see if these people are legit. So the next one, Marcus Treacher. So Marcus Treacher. We can look at, so that was just his Brad Garlinghouse's Wikipedia page. You can also do other stuff like LinkedIn. I don't actually have a LinkedIn account. So let's see if Marcus Treacher has a wiki. So Marcus Treacher isn't actually on wiki, but we can hear. Okay. So Ripple's global head of strategic accounts, Marcus Treacher, confirms Ripple has now signed more than 100 production contracts. Cool. So it's a good bit of news. Reddit isn't always the best place to find decent information. Always check it. Always check every single piece of information you see. So Ripple hires HSBC payments exec Marcus Treacher. So this is shedding a bit of light. All the light bulbs are going off right now. So this guy apparently used to work for HSBC. So Ripple, the global provider of financial settlement solutions, today announced the hire of Marcus Treacher as global head of strategic accounts. Treacher brings more than 30 years of experience in transaction banking and payment systems technology, including 12 years in global leadership roles at HSBC. He also served as a member of the global board of SWIFT, which is a cross-border payments company. SWIFT, it's the largest payments company currently, soon to be overtaken by Ripple, but it is currently the biggest global payments company from 2010 to 2016. Treacher joins Ripple from his recent position at HSBC's Global Head of Payments Innovation, where he established a new team focusing on applying emerging fintech to solve customer challenges in digital payments, trade, and supply chain. Projects under his leadership include establishing an alternative to traditional models for international mobile payments and driving the adoption of blockchain and distributed ledger technologies. Now, from this info, to me, I've seen enough to know that Marcus Treacher used to work for HSBC and used to work for Swift, which are two pretty big players in the financial institutions. So, to me, it pretty much says, yep, these guys are actually legit. These guys know what they're doing. Now, we'll do one more, just for the sake of it, really, because you don't just pick one person from their team to do research on. Pick a selection, because they could just be fake people that they've just made up, and they've just put a stock photo there. So let's have a look at David Schwartz. See what that comes up with. Motivational writer. New classic architect. American composer. So sometimes you won't find things straight away. You have to do a bit more digging. But that's just the way it is. So here is David Schwartz's LinkedIn page. Skilled in assisting companies with strategic planning and emerging technologies such as distributed payment systems and secure computing. Expertise in cryptography, computer security and software development, particularly for startups and quickly growing small companies. So this guy has been at Ripple for 7 years and 5 months. He's been the Chief Technology Officer for 10 months, leading a world-class group of engineers, scientists and business executives growing a global network of financial institutions using blockchain-based solutions to remove friction from global payments. And before that, he was Chief Cryptographer at Ripple for 7 years and 5 months, one of the architects and lead developers for the Ripple payment system. Before that, he was at Webmaster Incorporated for 13 years and 1 month. He was the Chief Technical Officer there, overseeing research, development and technical operations. He was the primary architect of cloud-based storage system DriveShare, featured portable client code, high-speed remote access, access control, NAT penetration, web-based access, and presentation as a local drive for ease of operation. Personal involvement included designing the overall architecture, writing the core server code, designing and supervising the implementation of the back-end storage, and coordinating teams involved in developing the client software and implementing the data center proportion. Blah, 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 blah. Coffee. Always coffee. So, after reading a few articles, after diving into these people, you can then make up your mind. You could say, oh, I might just do some more research here. I might do some more research and figure out what these guys are about. Read their reports, Q1 reports. All their information is pretty transparent on their website. So anything you want to know about them, or you can apply this formula to any other crypto in the space. Just do your own due diligence and make sure you do your own research when it comes to all this stuff, because It is so important that you don't get burnt, because it's your money at the end of the day that you're going to be investing, or potentially going to be investing. So you want to make sure that the people that you're sending it to, or the technology that you're investing in, is a legit technology. Yeah, you want to make sure it's a legit technology, because if it's fake, if it's a scam, if it was BitConnect, for example, which I'll talk about in a whole nother video, it's such a long subject, but basically what BitConnect done was promoted the hell out of a coin with a fake team, raised 1 billion in funds, and then disappeared. Absolutely vanished with 1 billion of the public's money. And if you would have done your own research into this platform, then you would realise that it was a complete load of horse cack. As I done my own research into it, when I first heard about it, it was offering something stupid like 5% interest a day, and it's just like, what? How can you even? How? That doesn't exist. But just things like that start ringing alarm bells that you just have to pay close attention to. So that is the general formula for researching a cryptocurrency. And I would also use the ca.finance.yahoo.com, which is where you can see all the market caps for all the cryptocurrencies. So if you found a cryptocurrency that you were interested in, you would find what the symbol was for it, and then click on the symbol, and this would bring you up a range of figures. So like the max supply, the volume over 24 hours, volume for 24 hours of all currencies, when it started, the 52-week range, today's range, open, previous close, what it's up today, which is all pretty interesting. You can add it to your watch list and stuff like that. There's another thing that I think that Ripple is really just one of the leaders for in terms of their charting system and their transparency, is when you type in xrpcharts.ripple.com. This is from Ripple's website, and you can see the exact trade volume for the all exchanges in that day, the ledger trade volume, XRP ledger payment volume, the total XRP that exists, the market capitalization of XRP, the ledger number, and these are the exchanges, the trading volume of all exchanges, and you can see each individual exchange and how much is being traded on each exchange, which is pretty cool. And also down here is the top markets for which XRP is traded in. So XRP USD, XRP CNY, I'm not sure what that is. I think it's Chinese currency maybe, I'm not sure. BTC Ripple, which is Bitcoin XRP, sorry. XRP Euro, Ethereum XRP, is Ripple China, so XRP Chinese Yen. Is it Yen? I'm not sure. Yuan, something like that. XRP Stellar, which is XLM. Bitstamps XRP USD. CNY, I'm not sure. So that is pretty much how you do your research. I literally don't think any other crypto has this sort of information on their own website for you to that's available to you. So I would say that's pretty transparent. That's another reason why XRP are one of the most transparent cryptos about there. It's just nice to see that companies do this, because it just gives you more. It gives you more It gives you more trust, because this is a trustless technology at the end of the day, and you need to be able to trust the companies behind these things. Not just the technology, but you need to be able to trust the companies behind these things, and they full well know this, and they want to be as transparent as possible. So that is how you go about conducting your own research on these coins. If you have any more questions, or if you think there's something I missed, then just comment below and I will answer your questions either below or in the next podcast. And also, if you have any questions for me to cover, then just leave it below and I will cover that in the next podcast. And I actually have a question that I'm going to be covering next. Well, I'll be covering right now. So, I got asked on Facebook earlier by my good friend Joss. Here we go. So, where is it? Okay, so he asked which language the graphs use on TradingView, because he's currently doing like computer coding and stuff. He's like doing a computer coding course, which is really cool and very, very interesting and super in-depth stuff, which I have no clue about at all, which I'd love to know about, but at the end of the day, I've got so much on my plate with this stuff, it's kind of a bit of a nightmare to do anything at the minute, but I just want to provide value to everyone the way that I know how, basically. So, what TradingView use, the computer language that TradingView use, is a language they made up called PineScript, which is pretty cool. I didn't know about. So, TradingView is proud to present the PineScripting language. TradingView is the first platform to have this kind of functionality, combined with advanced real-time charting and a super engaged community of investors discussing ideas. TradingView provides a large set of pre-built PineScript indicators out of the box. We realized that wasn't enough for all our users, and adding every script would just make TradingView too large to handle. As a solution, they built the Pine programming language specifically so our users could modify existing Pine scripts for their own needs or to create custom ones. The project is still in very early stages, but even now can be useful to a large number of people, so we decided to open even the early beta to the public. We invite everyone to try it and give us feedback. It's a beta, which means it probably has errors. With your feedback, we promise to work on fixes and improvements. Currently, it's available for free to everyone. In the future, this may or may not change, depending on how it will affect our server loads. This article will show you how to begin editing and building PineScripts. It assumes that you are familiar with mathematics and programming basics, although with Perseverance, anyone can figure it out. Perseverance, that's the one, not Perseverance. I've run out of coffee. That's probably why I'm making mistakes now. But this is gonna be the theme for these podcasts. It's gonna be 100% raw and uncut, unedited, because I do not care. I just want to provide value anywhere I can, and that does not include editing, I'm afraid. So you're gonna have to deal with it. Okay? So we promise to work. Oh dear. We deliberately made it as easy as possible, while keeping it flexible and powerful, to make it understandable to the wide set or possible audience. The first thing you'll notice is a new script editor button on the toolbar, and the new tab called Custom Scripts in the Studies window. Through Script Editor, you can create a new PineScript or open an existing one. More often, it is easier to tweak existing PineScripts than to create a new one. Start with choosing a template, i.e. which indicator you want to use as the base. We added templates for most indicators available in the default library. Okay, so this is pretty much the sort of code layout for the Pine editor, which is cool. looks like a bit of HTML with like the color equals purple, transparency equals 80. But I'm not too familiar with coding and all that stuff. If there's any computer whizzes out there that know more than me about coding and stuff like that, then they'll probably understand that stuff better than me. But as I understand, they've tried to make it as easy as possible. So that's pretty much how they've done it. So they've kind of created their own language, which is pretty cool. Now, that is all very interesting, and I have no clue about computer languages whatsoever. So I hope that's helped you, Joss. And if you have any more questions, you live over the road from me, so feel free to holler me, and we'll talk about it further over a cup of coffee. So that's pretty much it for that. And now, just to summarize, we'll go through some charts, targets I discussed last week, and stuff like that. So first we'll move to the weekly XRP chart. And as we can see, we've had a pretty good week this week. It's been a fully positive week. We've had lows of 29.5 and highs of 0.3 to 0.6. My first target was high 30s, it's still running and it's still in play. So it's been moving in the right direction. So I expect to see this target being met within the next 2 or 3 weeks, depending on how quickly we spike up, or if we retest again the bottom of this zone here. If we do retest this bottom of the zone here, then I definitely can see this target being achieved a bit longer. But for the overall, that is still our main outlook of the target, and we are moving in that zone. So perfect. That is exactly what I wanted to see on XRP on the weekly. So moving into the daily. Okay, zoom out a bit. Moving into the daily, you can see a bit more clearly where we've been going over the past couple of days. So it was quite stagnant over the past 3 or 4 days, and then today we've just been going up. We've just gone up from the 30 mark to the 32, nearly the 33 mark, which is pretty impressive for a day's work. So it's about 6%. Lovely job. We like to see that. We like to see movement in the markets. We always like to see movement in the markets. Now, moving over to the Bitcoin chart. No, actually, just look at the hourlies quickly on XRP. So we spiked earlier, and then we were pretty flat. But in the last hour, as I've been talking, we've actually achieved a break of the spike, which is pretty cool. I expect from this point to go further from here. What I think has happened, what I can see. Not the hand tool. Pass me the line tool. So this is kind of what I can see has happened. We've come into sort of like a squeeze triangle formation. Like this. And with that candle there, we're just broken out clean. So that's perfect to see there. Positive movements on XRP. Now let's go into the Bitcoin chart. Look at the weeklies first. So my target was a low one at 4,211, and it's held pretty well, but it's not gone up as much as XRP has. So Bitcoin's been pretty flat considering, but I expect this target on Bitcoin to be within the next 2 or 3 weeks. I didn't set those targets just to be hit in a day, because they are quite wild movements. So bear in mind the fact that these targets will be reached in like 2 or 3 weeks, not just like overnight. So that's pretty much BTC on the weekly. Obviously, we nearly spiked up here at the 6,000 mark, but since then we've been just pretty flat. I did say as well that we could actually retest the 6,000 region before coming down to our target, so that is still in play. So if we go to the dailies, we can see again that over the past 3 or 4 days we've been pretty flat, but today we've been pretty bullish. Now, this is not as bullish as the XRP chart, and by no means is it looking more positive at all. So I still expect us to fall all the way down to the 4,200 region in a couple of weeks. But over the next couple of days, I can see us maybe pushing towards this 5,900, 6,000 region before eventually crashing down. So let's look at the hourlies on the Bitcoin chart. Now, I did draw a trend line on this earlier, which I will actually draw properly because I kind of didn't touch it earlier properly. So there's our touches on the hourly Bitcoin chart. We can see we peaked around 5,285, and since then we've just been falling. So sells would have been perfect at the top here, but I didn't catch it. I had buy orders set at 5,110, which I posted on my story. They weren't actually fulfilled. We didn't actually hit those regions, so I cancelled my order. Well, so that didn't even fill, so I didn't lose anything or gain anything. The order just didn't get filled, which is perfect really, because there was uncertainty within the moves, which I kind of expected to see anyway after some decent trades earlier on in the last few days. But in the past 3 hours, we can see we've been coming down. The point of resistance that I'm looking at, just on an hourly perspective, would be this point here, the 5,200 mark. So I can expect that 5,200 mark to maybe hold before pushing up towards the 5,400 mark maybe. But as I say, I'm not in any trades right now, and I'm not in a hurry to get in any trades right now. I'm just waiting for this to play out, waiting for my targets to be hit, and waiting for a perfect entry point. Because if we tap 6,000 on BTC, then I will definitely be entering in short positions all the way down to 4,200, and that will be astronomical percent gains, 300% gains all the way, which is what I'm hoping for. So that's pretty much it for Bitcoin. The Ethereum chart, I was saying about a bounce off this level here, off this box zone. We've actually entered into this box zone now, which kind of suggests to me that we've got more upside momentum to fulfill on the Ethereum chart. We'll look at it on the weekly first. The hourly is a bit sporadic. So as we see on the weekly, we've broken into this box zone once again. We could maybe be heading up to the 160, 165 region before then crashing back down. So I think we're in for a big crash across BTC and Ethereum, not necessarily XRP, but mainly Ethereum and Bitcoin is where I see the biggest down moves happening. So that's pretty much it on the weekly. We've been pretty positive, spiked into this zone. Now if we look on the dailies, once again we were quite flat, but over the past couple of days we were actually quite bearish compared to the Bitcoin and XRP charts. But we can see we've come back into it today. We've come back into this box zone today. So we could even be looking at a 190 test before coming down to hit our 120 target, which is which I wouldn't be taking sells even if it hit 190. I wouldn't be taking sells on this one. I'd just wait for this. I'd just leave this one alone, I think. So let's go into the hourlies quickly, see how we're performing on the short-term perspective. Now, earlier on in the day, we can see this big push here, which was a nice move, to be honest with you. So from 6 o'clock this morning up to 12 o'clock, we had a nice little push on Ethereum, which pushed us all the way into this box zone after many tests. But now, over the past 5-6 hours, we've become stagnant, and not really a lot's been happening. So overall, I'll just be leaving this one alone. It's nice to see some movement in the charts, but overall, I'm staying out of it. My main one I'm waiting for is this XRP one and the Bitcoin. So I'm waiting for the Bitcoin to spike before I actually enter any positions. Now, that is pretty much it for this first podcast, and I really don't know how long it's been. I will check when I start uploading the video, because I have no idea whatsoever. By the fact that my mouth is dry and I need more coffee, I think it's been over an hour. So that was it for the first podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was informative. Maybe I should remove my mug from the corner of the screen, whichever side it is. Let me know what you think about that. If you want to see my face, let's talk about next week. So next week, we should be having a very special guest, my good friend Matty Benjamin, onto the podcast, which would be absolutely great to have a little chat with him. He's hopefully got some questions for me about some crypto aspects, or just like everyday life, and we'll just have a general chit chat of how life's going for the both of us, and business in general as well, because I think I want to ask him some questions as well about how he's finding being self-employed and stuff like that. I think it's really bold and a great move for anyone going self-employed, and I'm pretty sure that he would have a lot to say about that himself. So that's going to be a great podcast next week, full of laughs, full of jokes. It's going to be a great one. But I hope this one has been informative. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. Look after yourself, everybody. Look out for the next educational video tomorrow, which will be lesson 3. If you haven't seen the other ones, go back and watch them. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and make sure you tune in, because this is going to be one hell of a journey. Mr. Crypted is signing off right about now. So have a good evening, and I'll see you later.